The cybersecurity landscape has shifted with the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, or CISA, recently adding a new vulnerability to its Known Exploited Vulnerabilities catalog. This change highlights the ongoing threat posed by a specific cross-site scripting flaw, CV 2021-26829, affecting the OpenPLC ScadaBR software. On November 30, 2025, CISA confirmed that this vulnerability is actively being exploited, impacting both Windows and Linux versions of the software. Reports indicate that the flaw allows attackers to manipulate system settings, potentially leading to significant disruptions in industrial control systems. In this video, we'll delve into the details of this vulnerability, the implications of its exploitation, and what steps agencies need to take to protect their systems. If you find this update helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to InfoSec Now for the latest cybersecurity news. Your support really helps us continue building useful content for cybersecurity professionals. If you found this update helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to InfoSec Now for the latest cybersecurity news. Your support really helps us continue building useful content for cybersecurity professionals. On November 30, 2025, the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, officially added CV 2021-26829 to its Known Exploited Vulnerabilities catalog, a move prompted by clear evidence of active exploitation. This cross-site scripting XSS flaw affects versions of OpenPLC ScadaBR on both Windows and Linux platforms, highlighting the software's vulnerabilities in critical infrastructure settings. The addition of this vulnerability follows a significant incident involving the pro-Russian hacktivist group known as TwoNet. In September 2025, Forescout reported that TwoNet targeted a honeypot system, mistaking it for a legitimate water treatment facility. Within a short time frame of 26 hours, attackers leveraged default credentials to gain access and executed a series of actions, including defacing the human-machine interface, HMI, login page and disabling system logs and alarms. This rapid escalation underscores the potential for real-world consequences stemming from such vulnerabilities. As the threat landscape evolves, TwoNet has transitioned from initial DDoS attacks to more sophisticated maneuvers targeting industrial systems, including ransomware-as-a-service offerings. Their operations, which began earlier in the year on platforms like Telegram, illustrate a growing trend among hacktivist groups to adopt and adapt legacy web exploitation tactics while also claiming affiliations with other cyber activist brands. In response to the growing threat, CISA mandated that federal civilian executive branch agencies must implement necessary fixes for CV 2021-26829 by December 19, 2025. This requirement reflects a proactive approach to cybersecurity, aimed at mitigating risks before they can be exploited further. Adding to the urgency, VulnCheck identified a sustained exploit operation linked to an out-of-band application security testing (OAST) endpoint, indicating that attackers are leveraging legitimate cloud services to mask their activities. This operation, primarily targeting Brazil, has involved numerous exploit attempts across multiple vulnerabilities, suggesting a systematic approach to identifying and compromising weak points in various systems. The timeline of events surrounding CV 2021-26829 serves as a critical reminder of the interconnected nature of cybersecurity threats and the need for ongoing vigilance in protecting vital infrastructure. As CISA continues to update its KEV catalog, the cybersecurity community must remain alert to the evolving tactics employed by threat actors. The recent addition of CV 2021-26829 to CISA's Known Exploited Vulnerabilities catalog underscores the heightened risks organizations face when using affected versions of OpenPLC ScadaBR. With a CVSS score of 5.4, this cross-site scripting flaw poses significant challenges, particularly for entities operating within critical infrastructure sectors. Organizations that fail to address this vulnerability may find themselves not only at risk of immediate exploitation but also subject to potential regulatory scrutiny and reputational damage. The recent incident involving the pro-Russian hacktivist group TwoNet illustrates how quickly attackers can escalate from initial access to disruptive actions, indicating that organizations must prioritize timely patching and robust incident response strategies. Moreover, the implications extend beyond just the software itself. The integration of such vulnerabilities into broader attack vectors, coupled with the observed tactics of exploiting cloud infrastructure, highlights a trend where attackers leverage legitimate services to obscure their activities. This evolution in attack methodology necessitates a reassessment of security postures, particularly in how organizations monitor and defend against threats that may originate from seemingly benign sources. As CISA mandates that federal civilian executive branch agencies implement necessary fixes by December 19, 2025, other organizations should take note of these timelines. The urgency to patch vulnerabilities like CIV 2021-26829 is critical, as the window for attackers to exploit these flaws narrows with every passing day. Additionally, the emergence of sustained exploit operations, as noted by VulnCheck, suggests that organizations must not only react to known vulnerabilities but also proactively engage in threat hunting and continuous monitoring to detect and mitigate emerging threats. In summary, the consequences of this vulnerability extend far beyond technical issues. They encompass operational risks, increased attack surfaces, and the potential for significant disruptions within critical infrastructure. Organizations must adopt a comprehensive approach to cybersecurity, integrating vulnerability management, threat intelligence, and incident preparedness to effectively safeguard their systems against these evolving threats. As agencies and organizations grapple with the implications of the newly identified CIV 2021-26829 vulnerability, immediate action is critical. Federal Civilian Executive Branch (FCEB) agencies must implement remediation measures by December 19, 2025, to safeguard their systems effectively. This deadline emphasizes the urgency for organizations to prioritize cybersecurity practices and ensure compliance with CISA's directives. In addition to meeting compliance deadlines, organizations should conduct thorough assessments of their existing security protocols. This includes reviewing user access controls and ensuring that default credentials are changed to mitigate unauthorized access risks. The rapid exploitation of vulnerabilities, as demonstrated by the TwoNet hacktivist group, underscores the need for proactive security measures. Furthermore, agencies are encouraged to stay informed about emerging threats and trends in cyber attacks. The ongoing activity observed by VulnCheck, involving a sustained exploit operation that leverages legitimate cloud infrastructure, highlights the evolving tactics employed by threat actors. Organizations must enhance their threat intelligence capabilities to identify and respond to such sophisticated attack vectors. Collaboration among cybersecurity professionals is vital. Agencies should engage in information-sharing initiatives to disseminate insights on vulnerabilities and exploit strategies. By fostering a community of shared knowledge, organizations can better prepare for potential threats and enhance their collective defense mechanisms. Finally, continuous training and awareness programs for staff are essential. Employees should be educated about the risks associated with vulnerabilities and the importance of adhering to security policies. A well-informed workforce can serve as a critical line of defense against cyber threats, ensuring that organizations remain resilient in the face of evolving challenges. The recent addition of CIV 2021-26829 to CISA's Known Exploited Vulnerabilities catalog underscores a significant trend in the exploitation of web application vulnerabilities, particularly within industrial control systems. This XSS flaw, with a moderate CVSS score of 5.4, presents a unique challenge as it affects both Windows and Linux versions of OpenPLC ScadaBR software, which is commonly used in various industrial environments. The implications of this vulnerability extend beyond immediate compromises. They highlight a growing sophistication among threat actors, such as the pro-Russian hacktivist group TwoNet. Their recent activities demonstrate a tactical shift towards targeting critical infrastructure, where even a seemingly simple XSS flaw can be leveraged for disruptive actions. The rapid timeline of their attack, moving from initial access to defacement in just over a day, illustrates the urgency with which organizations must respond to such vulnerabilities. Moreover, the use of default credentials by attackers signifies a broader issue of poor security hygiene within many organizations. This vulnerability serves as a reminder that even basic security practices, such as changing default passwords, can significantly mitigate risks associated with exploitation. The ongoing cyber operations observed by VulnCheck, particularly the long-running out-of-band application security testing (OAST) endpoint, further complicate the landscape. The specific targeting of Brazilian infrastructure indicates a strategic focus that aligns with geopolitical interests, suggesting that attackers are not only exploiting vulnerabilities but also conducting reconnaissance to identify high-value targets. As agencies and organizations prepare to address CIV 2021-26829, they must recognize the interconnected nature of these threats. The exploitation of this vulnerability could serve as a precursor to more severe attacks, especially as attackers increasingly blend sophisticated tactics with readily available tools. This evolving threat landscape necessitates a proactive approach to cybersecurity, emphasizing the importance of continuous monitoring, prompt patching, and comprehensive security assessments to safeguard critical infrastructure against emerging vulnerabilities. If you found this update helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to InfoSec Now for the latest cybersecurity news. Your support really helps us continue building useful content for cybersecurity professionals.